What be happening? This is OG Eddie Lee, and I'm about to drop another story. This story is going to take place in the Mobile County Jail. And this story would also have me as the cell representative, right along with Stone, my friend Albert Stone, him, Jackson, my homeboy Reed that I said previously that was like a hero to me, the one that was basically illiterate because he couldn't read or write. And I'm not sure if Terry Hunter was in that cell with us at the time, but Jackson, Terry Hunter, and myself was the three guys that got transferred from the Mobile County Juvenile Center to the Mobile Jail together sometime in February of '77. Now, if I had to say when this story took place, I'm going to say what month, I would say maybe May or June of 1977. For whatever reason, which I can't remember, I was taken out of cell block 206 and put in 207. And I was in 207 for about a month or so. And then I was transferred back to 206. Now, when I was transferred, I was the only person transferred out of cell block 206 that was in there with us. It was some other inmates that had went home. We shared that cell block with some guys from behind the graveyard. Behind the graveyard guys basically lived in a community that was inside the Tomobile community, but the graveyards was separate because they called it the graveyard because it was a big-ass cemetery back there. That's why they called it the graveyard community. And it was a way that you could come out of the graveyard community without coming back up Stone Street and being up in the area of Stone and Osage. And at the time, the high school was named Tomobile High School. Due before Tomobile High School, name would change to LaFleur High School, right? Then it was, like I said, being in the graveyard community, it was a way that you could leave the graveyard community and you could end up in the stockyard. The stockyard was a neighborhood that got its name because they had Hayes and Davis was the biggest manufacturer of pork. You know, the pig pork. They had a plant there, right? Hayes Davis had a plant, which was, like I said, they dealt in pork. So if you pass by Hayes Davis, you'll probably hear the sounds of pigs. Or you might even see pigs walking up this long incline run, like a runway, right? And then if you stand there long enough and listen, you can hear that hydraulic hammer drop down. I was told that hydraulic hammer dropped down. It was real heavy and it dropped down on top of the pig head or the hog head and it kills them instantly. And then after that, they went through whatever process they went through to get the meat ready, right? The stockyard also had Marcia Derby. Marshall Derby was a chicken farm, right? A lot of the chicken trucks with the cages would come there and get the chickens and take them. This is after the chickens being slaughtered. I didn't know the routine of what they did to slaughter the chickens, but the chicken truck would come. It would be refrigerated truck, and it would take the chicken parts. It would be packed, and they would take them to different grocery stores. And then they had, I think it was called Dairy Fresh. It was a place where they dealt with nothing but milk cows. They used some kind of milk machine to milk the cows for milk. So you had the milking cow factory, you had the pork factory, and you had the Marshall Derby chicken factory, all in the same area that they call the stockyard. They call it stockyard because pigs, chickens, and hogs, and cows, and horses, and sheep, they're all considered livestock, right? So you had a way you could come out of the graveyard community, end up in the stockyard, or you could come out of the graveyard and end up on the back end of Happy Hills Housing Project community. You would be on the Chin Street part of Happy Hill Housing Projects. Now, Happy Hill Housing Projects wasn't a very large housing project. The Happy Hill Housing Project might have been larger than Royal Williams Housing Projects. I'm not sure. But I know for a fact, Happy Hill Housing Project wasn't larger than the Orange Grove projects. Because like I said previously, the Orange Grove Housing Projects had 4 different housing projects sharing the same piece of land that was owned by Mobile Housing Authority. So Happy Hill wasn't larger than the Orange Grove Housing Project community. But despite what people say, the Orange Grove, since it was larger, it was more family. Move in and move out the Orange Grove. It was more family that had children while they was living in the Orange Grove. Their children became adults, and their children had children, and those children grew up in the Orange Grove Housing Projects community. So Happy Hill, like I said, wasn't larger than the Orange Grove Housing Projects community. But regardless what anybody say, I would say Happy Hill Housing Project had some of the hardest niggas out of all the damn housing project community in the city of Mobile and the city surrounding or on the outside of the city of Mobile, right? What made the only thing hurt at the Happy Hill Housing Project community is because it was smaller than the Orange Grove Housing Project community. But if it had been as large as the Orange Grove Housing Project community, the Happy Hill Housing Project community resident, the guys that actually got down, I'm talking about the OG guys and the OG girls. The OG guys and the OG girls would have they wouldn't have had a lot of issues dealing with the Orange Grove Housing Project community, OG guys and OG girls. Now the Orange Grove Housing Project community, that's where my family and I live for 6 years. The Orange Grove Housing Project community was a long ways for having a bunch of rookies or a bunch of chumps. The women that was in the streets that live inside the Orange Grove Housing Project community, right along with the guys, they wasn't nobody to mess around with. I'm just being honest. a lot of people living in the Orange Grove Housing Project community at the time, and some of them, oh, let me stop. And some of the people won't admit how hard Happy Hill Housing Project community was. You could tell when a community don't get a lot of talk, but when people talk about them, they can't share no darkness on them, or they can't say nothing against the community without lying, right? Because the Orange Grove Housing Project community guys and girls that was out in the streets or felt freely to move around the Orange Grove Housing Project community, if they had anything to say about Happy Hill residents, especially the guys and girls that moved around freely like they did, they would say those motherfuckers were crazy. That was about it. They're not going to ridicule the Happy Hill like that, because deep down inside they know. I'm saying it because my family and I lived in the Orange Grove Housing Project community, and I also had the opportunity to visit Happy Hill housing projects back during the time my 4 brothers and myself was getting our haircut by a guy that was a resident on the Orange Grove Housing Project community. Plus, I was incarcerated with a lot of guys from the campground, guys that ran Davis Avenue, guys from Chittyville, guys from the Orange Grove Housing Project community, guys from Happy Hill, guys from Roy Williams, guys from down the bay, Maysville, Chittyville, all the black communities surrounding the city of Mobile and outside the city of Mobile. I was incarcerated with these guys. So I know how the Happy Hill Housing Project community guys was, right? I know how they was when I was locked up with them. I know how they was before I got locked up. All right. We had several Happy Hill Housing Project community guys in the cell block 206. Okay. For whatever reason, like I said, I was taken out of Orange Grove. I was taken out of the Mobile County Jail 206, put in 207 a couple of months later. I was put back in cell block 206. Now, I had been getting what they call kites. Kites is like a note that an inmate will write you, and if he don't send it to you by the correction officer, he was sent it to you by the trustees, or depends on where your cell block was and hit that person's cell block. Sometimes the cell block was wall to wall, so they could write a note, stick it through the bars, and put their arm and hand around, and that somebody in that next cell could get that note, and they could pass it on, right? All right. I had received some kites. They call notes kites. Handwritten notes were considered kites, right? I guess because the kite fly, the notes was flying from one inmate to another inmate, from one cell block to another cell block, right? The kites I got had told me that the homie Jackson that was in the Orange Grove, was in the Mobile County Youth Center with me. They got transferred in February 1977 with me to the Mobile County Jail. Me and Jackson our relationship was deeper than just being in the Mobile County Jail together. It was deeper than being in the Mobile County Youth Center together. Me and Jackson met each other at Dunbar Junior High School, which was on the outskirts of downtown, outskirts of campground, outskirts of the Chittyville, the outskirts of campground community, the outskirts of the bottom, the outskirts of the Orange Grove Housing Project community, and if any communities that I forgot to mention. Dunbar was on the outskirts of these different black communities. Jackson and I met at Dunbar, and Jackson liked to gamble, so Jackson would walk with me after school over to the Orange Grove Housing Projects community, and if we didn't roll dice, we played the card game Tom. I had to introduce Jackson to my mother and my stepfather, so me and Jackson was cool. Okay, in the kites, aka notes that I received, they was telling me that Jackson was getting scrubbed off real bad after I left cell block 206, right? That wasn't going down with Jackson when I was in there, right? At the time, I was like I said, I was the cell representative. Now, let me share a little light on those that don't know. My aunt asked me this once before, and she underestimated how things go, and it was easy because she never been locked up, and so she don't know nothing about the rules or the sayings of inmates. When I told her I was the cell representative, and she asked me how could I be the cell representative because I didn't look like I was that strong, right? And I told my aunt, I almost got pissed off with her for making that remark, right? Because she didn't really know me like that. It's other reason why she based her statement on that. She made that remark about me, rather. I'm not going to go into it, but in her mind, I wasn't that strong. And I reminded her, I didn't have to be that strong if I had people following me. Because the people that followed me and looked up to me, right, that value what I had to say, they had my back. I didn't have to be the strongest in the cell block. Mostly every cell representative that had every cell block that had a cell representative wasn't the toughest inmate in the cell block, right? I'm talking about during time when it was anywhere from 20 to 50 inmates in one cell block. It was very overcrowded conditions, very bad conditions back in 77 and in 78 in the Mobile County Jail. So I'm talking about what I know. I was told Jackson had been scrubbed out, getting scrubbed out. They didn't try to turn him into no boy. They didn't try to punk him. They didn't try to pimp him out or hoe him out. But they ate his trays whenever they want to. In other words, whenever his breakfast, lunch, and dinner tray came, if they want that tray, they ate it. And he couldn't do nothing about it because he was going against 3 or more guys that was doing this to him. If he had money on the books and they wanted something, they tell him to order it. He ordered it. If he didn't order it, that was his ass, right? So I was told that Jackson had became quiet as a church mouse, which alarmed me. Okay, I ended up going back to cell block 206. And when I got in there, those guys that was scrubbing Jackson off was gone. And some of the same guys that was in the cell block before I got transferred was still there. Green was definitely there, Stone. And the first thing came to my mind was, why did none of these guys bag Jackson play? Now, I know Green wasn't a big fan of Jackson's. Matter of fact, Stone wasn't a big fan of too many of nobody, to be honest. He was like that. The only reason me and Green had a relationship because we had went to school together. In the 5th grade, we both attended Willie Elementary School in Plateau, Alabama, the same Plateau, Alabama where Hammer and Aunt Aaron grew up in, right? AKA African Town. Me and Green went to school the whole 5th grade together, which was the school term of 1972, 1973. And after school term 1973, I didn't see Green again until September of 1976, which was over 3 years later. He came into the Mobile County Youth Center for the murder charge. Okay, I gotta stop it again. All right, I get back in the cell block, 206. You know, I'm kicking in with the homies. Everybody's good. I'm not mentioning anything to Jackson about what I had heard happen to him. Now, they used to have mops in the Mobile County Jail that had a piece of metal that could be shaped and formed. And it was made almost like a U. And it hold the mop in place against the mop stick or the mop handler. Green had learned how to take that loose. He would break the metal up, keep bending it until it broke. And he could make 3 shanks out of the metal. Green would take the metal, and we had cement floors, we had iron bunks with thin-ass mattresses, and we had a big stainless steel ass table, right? That could probably hold 8 to 20 inmates could sit at the table and eat. Green would take the metal after he break it down in 3 pieces, each piece being about this long. Green would scrub the metal against the cement floor. When he got through scrubbing it, that metal would turn into a point so sharp, it would be sharper than a pen, sharper than a needle. I'm talking about needle sharp. And then he would take the plastic garbage bags and wrap it around one end that's not sharpened to a knife point. He would set that bag of fire, and he would roll the other end of the chain that's blunt, like this, into the plastic with the fire burning, and it would melt and make a handler. Not only did Stone, a.k.a. Green, made us a chain with a handler, Green made us a carrying case, a holster. Now all of us are walking around like swordsmen. We all got our sword. So one day, we're gambling, right? Jackson lose a couple of packages of bugles and bugle papers. Bugle was like Prince Albert, rolling tobacco. I didn't smoke, period. But that pack of bugle on the weekend, because the commissary store didn't run on the weekend, that one pack of bugle could get me 2 packs if I sell it on the weekend. Might even get me 3 packs of bugles, tobacco, for 1 pack, right? So Jackson lost his damn bugles to me. We kept on playing. He was down 2 trays. He said, I'll let you choose 2 out of my 3 trays. So I chose his breakfast tray and his last tray. And I left and kept his lunch tray, right? Later that day, Jackson started trying to crack on me about something. And he had everybody in the cell block laughing. They was laughing their ass off, looking at me like, damn, Moondog, what you gonna do, man? Jackson is on your ass, man. He's cracking on you now. Green Stone never called me Moondog. He met me during the time I was called Eddie Johnson. And even in the Mobile County Youth Center, when me and Green was in there, even when me and Green was in the Mobile County Jail together, he always called me Eddie. He never called me by my street nickname, right? So, Jackson is cracking real bad. So I say, hey man, you might want to leave me alone because I heard you was getting scrubbed off after I left the cell block. I heard them niggas was taking your trays. They was taking your bugle. You was damn basically paying them niggas out your commissary to keep them from beating you or fucking raping you. So you might want to be quiet, man, before I start cracking on you. Jackson gave me that sarcastic ass smile and said to me, nigga, we talking about each other. Say your best joke, say your best line. So I started cracking on Jackson about how he got scrubbed out. I started saying to him things that I read in the letter that was happening to him. I don't know if he realized somebody had to tell me these things because I wasn't in there and what I was saying to him was so accurate. I don't even know if he had enough sense to realize somebody had been telling me what was going on. Right? I noticed he was getting madder and madder at me, but I had no idea he was going to do what he was getting ready to do. So I kept on joning them. I kept on cracking them. I was letting them have it. Now everybody laughing at me, my jokes, and ain't laughing at his jokes no more, period. Jackson jumped up. His eyes was red as beads. He had tears running down his eyes, down his cheekbones, and some of the tears ran across his upper lip and got in his mouth, and it sounded like he was crying when he said to me, say another word, say another word. I kill you right now. Jackson had taken the chain that Green had made all of us. That way we could look out for ourselves for any inmate. They came in there trying to run the cell or punk us because we was younger than all the other inmates in the county jail. Jackson had pulled that chain out on me, right? And when I saw the chain and I saw the tears, I could tell by his face the only retribution, the only comfort what could be given to Jackson at that moment was him taking that chain and chanking me up. It blew my mind. I didn't even have time to be scared because I was so fucking disappointed. It almost like he had pulled that shank on my mother or somebody I love more than I love myself. It hurt me so bad. And he kept saying, say another fucking word, say another fucking word, and watch what happened. I kill you, I kill you, right? I'm standing there and right quick, I use my peripheral vision to look to the left and the right of me. I see Green to the right doing this, want to nod. I give him the nod, he about to get him. He probably gonna shake him up. Jackson probably was gonna get killed, because like I said previously in another video, Green was serving time for murder. And he wasn't that fond of Jackson anyway. He would have got him. Over here I had the other homeboy blanking me to the left. He giving me the look. Get him. Get him. They gesturing like, get him? And I said, no, don't get him. I was sitting down at the time Jackson jumped up crying with the tears running down his face and down his damn top lip. I was sitting down. I stood up. I walked up to Jackson and he had his chain point straight out. And God is my witness. I put this on my dead son and my mother. I walked up to him. I took his hand and the chain. I put it right to my chest. I said, you got it where you want it at. Only thing you got to do is lean forward and push it in my chest. And he didn't do it. That changed us forever. Peace.